What's going on, guys? It is Broomstick. I really want to talk to you guys about a interesting program. I think is has a certain, let's say, a dark capsular element to it. It's kind of dark and capsular, right? It's called Freaks and Geeks. It's this show from the early 2000s, and it's quite interesting. You got a young James Franco before he's had any kind of significant role, young Seth Rogen before he's had any kind of significant role, and, you know, there's probably amongst others, all of which, you know, Care Bears. But for that alone, it's, you know, very interesting, well worth the watch. Also, I don't know if you guys know, if you guys watch the Scooby-Doo movie, but the sexy Velma from the Scooby-Doo movie, she's also a main character in this interesting TV program. And it takes place in 1980, and that alone is kind of interesting. You can kind of see, like, demographics and yada yada, right? Just how things were different. But I just really want to stress on, like, the high schoolism of it all, and how, you know, pretty privilege plays into everything here that, you know, you see in this TV program. And there's a lot of this boomer mom running cover for the actions, you know, of her daughter, as well as boomer mom even stirring up the tea. You know, there's a lot of that going on. A lot of the stuff we talk about. And I just really want to encourage you guys, just take a look at this, see if, you know, and let it cook a little. Because just when you guys think it's like, oh, you know, we've seen it all, you know, it gets raunchier. It gets a little raunchier. I've only watched half of it so far, but it surprised me. I just when I think I have it figured out, it throws me, I'm like, I don't know, it's just TV back then in the early 2000s. It was just different. Certain things weren't taboo, and they could just go about kind of playing around with certain topics that we don't play around with today. But it's also, nonetheless, it's like intelligent, it's funny. But yeah, you can just tell, like, you know, the you know, manipulation, psychopathy, looks, like how all that play in. It really is on display in the show. One thing that really kills me is the show, like, I don't like seeing, just in general, the whole, like, when she is checked out and the guy is doing any kind of, like, lovey-dovey or feeling up on her or hugging her, and you just know she's checked out, that is really hard to watch, man. I'm very passionate, like, when I say this, that, and this is unrelated to the show, you know, very unrelated to the show, I say this is like Broomstick speaking, just kind of on a related note, is there's something special about a guy who kind of, like, lays it all out there for a woman and is willing to kind of say, you know, especially, like, let's, you know, he got some cheeks at this point, right? This guy's not a total cuck, right? A total cuckatoo. So him like laying it all out there and just kind of like saying, like, hey, you are my world, you are, you know, like, that's how much I like you. I don't know, not him really saying that, but, like, But I just think there's something special about that, because you think about like how we're built in nature, and you know, a guy's meant to kind of deposit many seeds, or you know, plant many seeds, so to say, and continue to traverse the land. You know, a woman is built for like a 9-month period of pain and life creation. So there's something really special, I think, about a guy just willing to say, like, you know, despite our biological differences, like, I want to stick with you, or anything like that. And I just feel like that's really kind of overlooked in general. But in general, male attention and male whatever is, we all know with the inflation economy on that resource asset, it's you know, it's not that valuable right now anyway. But at least market price objective wise. But in Broomstick's inherent civic and moral kind of like world, it's not, you know, it's a special thing. And I was talking, you know, I was watching that show with a friend, and we were talking about how it's like, okay, so I was talking about me and this other friend, you know, that we both knew. It's like, hey, we're not marriage guys, but you know, there's gonna be plenty of other, because in the show someone was like, oh, OMG, I LOL, I'm thinking about having sex, LOL. And then one of these other girls, super like bookwormy, super, you know, Freaks and Geeks, they got all kinds of, you name the high school archetypal person, Freaks and Geeks probably has something like it, right? So this bookwormy girl is like, no, you can't have sex, like you'll ruin yourself, and then basically you'll ruin yourself for, you know, others. But the thing is, though, that's just so interesting to me, because we all know that's just not true. Like, you know, like, I might not be a marriage guy. I might know some other guys who aren't marriage guys, but there's plenty of guys out here that are willing to, they're willing to dive right in. And there's some, like, you know, there's some stepdad, there's some good stepdad footage on the show. This show's got a little bit of everything, man. It is kind of like, I've been watching it, I'm like, yeah, this is something special. The feeling of kind of being like in a small pond in high school. Do you guys know about, how big was your guys' high school? My graduating class, maybe 700 people. Kind of big high school, maybe bigger than most, but even then, I talk a lot about this on the channel, just culturally getting along with people sometimes was hard, you know, based on coming from different cultures. And I just like think that I always felt like I was kind of in a small pond a lot. And, you know, Broomstick being a late bloomer, it's like college for me was like a really important time of like that flourishing coming out. And something I am kind of like grieving and resentful about is that, you know, even though college was a precious time, it's like it really was those like latter parts of those years where it's like I really did kind of get that sexual validation I'd been looking for. And I don't think it was really fair to have to wait that long, because, you know, being a person who, you know, loved his mom, got good grades, etc., I felt like I kind of deserved, I don't know, a bit, like, not deserved is a shitty word. Like, there ought to have been more out there for me. You know, granted, what I had to bring to the market, even just on that inherent value alone of what I talked about, you know, having good grades and loving my mom, etc. So, yeah, dang, was there anything else? Anything else Broomstick had to talk about? I just got to the Taco Bell drive-thru. Should I call it here, or was there anything else on my list? Go watch Freaks and Geeks, guys. Go check it out. It's Kino, at the very least. You know, you guys get like a Kino assignment. It'd be cool to, you know, Western or Thomas did a review on something like this. Yeah, 18 episodes, 45 minutes each. They're all pretty good, you know. Yeah, you know, Pretty Privilege, and just, you see it like everywhere, bro, and the casting of everything based on Pretty Privilege, and it's quite interesting. All right, guys, Broomstick's gonna call it there. Signing out. Peace.